Shalom, this is Kazak Eliyahu, and welcome to another Just a Word video. If you're here for the first time, only hope this first time will not be your last time. All right, so today we are going to speak about a basic fundamental error of many of the Hebrew Israelite groups. Of course, they have different beliefs. So, what I'm talking about is what I have found in the majority that I have seen. And this error is their law error. There are some groups, ones that I watch, all they tell you, go back to the law. You need to go. People say, so what do we need to do? Oh, you need to go and keep the law. Go and wear your fringes and don't shave your beard and don't and wear your long dresses and all of those things. And the emphasis is on keeping the law. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Hebrew Israelites. They are our brothers. I just believe that and I do know that they are in error in so many ways, in which we have proven several here on our channel. And I am also not against the law. If you break the law, you sin. All right? So we are keepers of the law, but we obey the law in the Ruach. That doesn't mean we don't do the things that they tell people to do. That doesn't mean we don't tell women to wear dresses that cover their body. That doesn't mean that we shave our beards. Yeah, I preach that men must not shave their beards. Fringes, I wear fringes. I preach that men should wear fringes. But what am I saying here? I'm saying that we have to understand the spirit of the law. This is what they're missing. The ruach of the law, the new covenant, because they will tell you we are not in the new covenant. So what do? They take liberty in sin. They take liberty in not doing anything to do with the covenant, the new covenant, because they assume that we are not in the new covenant. I watched a debate yesterday, and a group prides themselves in defeating people in saying that they are in the new covenant. These Hebrew Israelites are saying they're not in the new covenant, but there's also something that they're missing there. We will do a video on this. It is so funny what they are missing. So let's see their law error and see exactly what they're missing. For that, we'll go to Timotheus, book of First Timothy, chapter 1, and we will begin at verse 3. Shaul was warning Timothy against false teachers. As I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus, when I went into Macedonia, that thou mightest charge some that they teach no other doctrine. So here is the problem now. The problem is the Hebrew Israelites have created a Hebrew Israelite doctrine. We were not called to be Hebrew Israelites. I am Hebrew. I am an Israelite, but I'm not a Hebrew Israelite. You can understand what we mean by that by an article that we did on our website, justaword.org. Who are the Hebrews today? Who are the Hebrews today? So I am Hebrew. I'm also an Israelite, but I'm not Hebrew Israelite. Hebrew Israelite is a religion. Our people were not Hebrew Israelites, they were Hebrews, and they were Israelites. That's another thing that you can pick up from that article. Anyway, so they have created a new doctrine. Let's see the doctrine that we should be following. The doctrine we should be following is the one that Shaul declared when he was in defense. He declared it plainly in Acts 24:14. But this I confess unto thee, that after the way, this is what we are. We are followers of the way. Followers of the way. And for that, let's go to John 14, verse 6, and then we will come back to this to show what way are we following. Followers of the way. Yahusha said unto him, I am the way. This is what we follow. The truth and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So we follow the way. We follow the Messiah. This is what Shaul was speaking when he says, after the way. But this I confess unto thee, that after the way, which they call heresy, so worship I the Alua of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets. So we follow the way, which means we follow Yahusha, believing everything which is written in the law and in the prophets. Okay? So the Hebrew Israelites will say, yes, but this is what we do. But you don't follow the way. The way of the Messiah is the way that he taught us, the way that he lived, and the way that he left for his apostles to instruct us to live. And have hope toward a lure, which they themselves also allow, that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and the unjust. But hear this now. This is a difference now. And herein do I exercise myself to have always a conscience void of offense toward Allah and toward men. This is the part that they are missing out. They have an entitlement thing about them. They are Israelites, so such and such. Yes? Not caring whether they are offending the Most High or offending men. They will be out there on the street. They will be fighting. They will be even showing videos of them fighting people. Yes, they will tell you, I'm not a Christian. You can't come upon me like that. I will F you up and all of those things. Yeah, they don't care about this. It is the conscience that is the problem. The conscience. The Hebrew Israelites have ignored the conscience. We're going to see a little further. Let's go back to 1 Timothy. They have ignored the conscience, taking the law without a conscience, being what? Just like the scribes and the Pharisees. Being just like the scribes and the Pharisees. I wonder if this thing is echoing. Let me hear if it is echoing. Like the scribes and the Pharisees. All right. So let's go to where were we? Verse 3. As I besought thee to abide still at Ephesus, when I went into Macedonia, that thou mightest charge some that they teach no other doctrine. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than wholly edifying, which is in faith. So do. So when you hear the Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, when they see someone on the road, what is the word that they use? They are asking people, what nation are you from? What is your heritage? What's the word they use? But in essence, they're telling people, who are they descended from? That's the first thing. Yes? Now, endless genealogies does not mean you're not welcome who you are or who another person is. But to focus the doctrine solely on it goes into endless genealogies. So the emphasis has to be on the word of truth. When we preach righteousness. Anyone who wants to pick it up, they pick it up. Then we can get into the conversation of who you are. Okay? Who you are does not come first. Because a minister question, and rather than wholly edifying, which is in faith. So when you edify people according to the word of truth, according to the righteousness, it is in faith. And faith and a good conscience go together. That is what they are missing. Now, the end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of faith unfeigned. You see it? Faith. So the good conscience, when you have a good conscience, you will be focusing on things that have to do with the good conscience. You'll be focusing on love, faith, joy, peace, the fruit of the Ruach. Okay? And let's see what will happen if we don't have this. From which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain jangling, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. It's the same thing with them. They're out there on the road, they're teaching the law. Teaching, law, every single day. Hamashiach only comes up if a conversation comes up about it. You don't see them on the road preaching, you must be like a Mashiach, you must live like him, you must walk as he walked. I don't hear them. Those that I listen to at least, preaching Hamashiach. No, To them, it appears to be a weakness because Hamashiach said, turn the other cheek. They don't want to turn the other cheek. Love your enemy. Oh, my enemy is only among those among my people. So they don't want to do what Hamashiach says really and truly because their conscience is seared. I'm telling you, I'm not hitting out on anyone, but it is the truth. Okay? It is the truth. If your conscience was not seared, you would have such love and compassion for every man. Yes? When Hamashiach was condemned and they spat on him and did whatever they want, what did he say? Forgive them, they know not what they do. So even if people are hurting you, when you have a good conscience, that conscience is still going to come with compassion and mercy. But all you spit out every day is hate, hate, hate. Yes? All you focus on. Oh, you are of such and such. No, we did not come out here for you. The good news is to be preached among everyone because our people are everywhere and they look like everyone. You will never know who our people are. You have to let people come in. Hey. Desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good if a man use it what? Lawfully. So he's telling you that the law is good if you use it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. Why is it not made for a righteous man? Because the law will not convict a righteous man, because a righteous man will be walking what? In the fruit of the Ruach. Let's go there, Galatians 5. We have to understand these things. So this is why it's not made. Verse 16. This I say then, walk in the Ruach, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. If you are not fulfilling the lust of the flesh, then you will not be breaking the law. For the flesh lusteth against the Ruach, and the Ruach against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that ye would. But if you be led of the Ruach, you are not under the law. That is what he means when he says the law is not made for a righteous man, because a righteous man will be led of the Ruach, not of the flesh. And to be led of the Ruach, it means your conscience has to be a good conscience. Because the Ruach does not dwell in filthy vessels. The Ruach will not dwell somewhere where your conscience is seared, where your conscience is not good. So you have to have a good conscience. Okay? Or else you'll be walking in the works of the flesh. So no matter how you talk about law, all right? The end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart and of a good conscience and of faith unfeigned. These are the things that they are missing. So they have to stick to the law because they do not have these things. But we know that the law is good if a man use it lawfully. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the unrighteous and the sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and mothers, and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers or liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine, according to the splendid gospel of the Barak Alua, which was committed to my trust. Yeah? No. And I thank Hamashiach Yahusha our Master, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry, who was before a blasphemer. Now, listen to what Shaul said he was. Who was before a blasphemer, and a persecutor, and injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. What was he talking about? He was talking about the time when he was in the law, when he was a Pharisee. And what did he say when he was a Pharisee? Let's go to Philippians 3. Philippians 3. And we'll start at verse 5. This man now he describes himself. This time that I'm going to tell you about now, he said he was a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious. And let's see the time that he was speaking about. Let's see the state that he was in at that time. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Yasharal of the tribe of Benjamin, and Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee. Concerning zeal, persecuting. Remember I said he was a persecutor. Concerning zeal, persecuting the assembly. Touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. So look at it now. This man that says, touching the righteousness that was in the law, he was blameless. Yet, let's go back. In 1 Timothy, he told us about how he was at that time. And he said, who was before, in verse 13, a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious. So what he's saying, and he not only said that, he said, where is it? He said that Hamashiach came to save sinners, and he was the chief of the sinners. Can you imagine that? So this man who was blameless in the law described himself as the chief sinner. So the Hebrew Israelites, focusing on the law, not realizing that they are still sinners. Why? Because their conscience has not transformed them into the image of the Messiah. That bashful, humble, peaceful person that ran away from people who were after him, that never ever responded. Let's go to 2 Peter. 2 Peter. I want you to understand this, people, this error. 1 Peter 2:23. Verse 19. 1 Peter 2 verse 19. Hear this. How many Hebrew Israelites you can see take on this character? 1 Peter 2:19. For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience. You see that conscience again. Now, I didn't plan to put this in here. I'm just going and as I'm led by the Ruach. If a man for conscience toward Alua endure grief, suffering wrongfully. So to have a good conscience toward Alua, you have to endure grief. You have to be willing to suffer wrongfully. How many of them are preaching this? How many of them are preaching this? The ones that I know don't preach it. The ones that I know, you don't dare to run upon them. You don't dare to come in their faces. You don't dare to do anything. They're going to defend it and they're going to fight you. They're going to give you all sorts of expletives and whatever. Yes? Even when they're preaching, you'll see some big, strong fellows around them, guarding them, etc. For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience toward Alua endure grief, suffering wrongfully. And then they'll be there on their channels. And on their channels, they'll be there arguing. And if you say something bad against them, they take you and they smear you in a video. Or they will do what they call, they will try to act decent and say, this is a response video. They have to respond to anything. You cannot say anything bad about them. Like us here, when we are saying it, the reason we can say this is because nobody knows us. Yes? We have very few people. If we were big and famous, then people would be coming at us. They would be coming at us like nothing for putting out videos like this. Yes? But what do we say? We love them as brothers. Errors are errors. We are called to throw out errors. You see? When you come through religion and you learn something from somewhere, then you branch off and you learn something. The core things that you bring with you, the luggage and the baggage that you bring with you, will be false doctrine. Us here, we are followers of the way. Anything that comes and is changed in what we believe, we accept it. We are not famous, we are not big, we are not anything. We are just people seeking truth. And anywhere the truth comes from through our diligence and our search to the Most High, led by faith, mercy, compassion, a good conscience, then that is what we believe in. Okay? So, let me read it again. I'm stuck at 19. For this is thankworthy if a man for conscience toward Allure endure grief, suffering wrongfully. For what splendor is it when ye be buffeted for your faults, ye shall take it patiently. But if when ye do well and suffer for it, ye take it patiently, this is acceptable with Allure. So in other words, if you have a fault and you are beaten down for the fault, what benefit is it? Because you deserve it. But it is saying, if you are doing well and you suffer for it and take it patiently, this is what the Most High accepts. So for example, you have a Hebrew Israelite group and another camp will say something against them. It becomes starting camp wars. Videos, response videos, from video to video to video. That's what they're doing. What is it saying? This is actually saying that if you they say bad things about you, you leave it alone. What do? Leave it alone. And this is acceptable toward Allure. For even hereunto were ye called, because Hamashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye should follow his steps. This is why we follow the way, we follow his steps. But what they do, they create a new religion called Hebrew Israelite. Those are not following his steps. It's not following the steps of Hamashiach. Hamashiach was humble, calm, humility. Man, some of the Hebrew Israelite videos, I have to stop watching them because of the pride. The pride is so huge, and the Most High says he sees the proud from afar. Eh? Man, the pride. Something is wrong, and that is why this group is growing so fast. Because if someone can come in and know that you have pride in who you are, and you can take pride and have pride, walk in pride, and the Most High is still going to come for you, what do you think the people are going to do? Walk in pride. Because pride is from our sinful nature. And the sinful man is going to want to continue how he wants to continue. So a lot of people are going to gravitate towards it. When you come to somewhere like Just a Word, and we tell you the things that we tell you, hardly anybody wants to walk in what we say. Because it is the truth. And because it is hard. It's not easy. Okay? For even hereunto were ye called, because Hamashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye should follow his steps and do what? And suffer. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. Who when he was reviled, hey, if you think you're bad, go and say something bad against one of these groups. Eh? They will give you a lashing of the tongue. When they are done with you, mocking, laughing at you, bringing you down. Yeah? This is the error of the Hebrew Israelites. Hamashiach is a stumbling stone. They take him, yes, and they use him and they say, our Messiah, our Lord, our this and our that. But they are not following him. They are no different from Christianity. Because Christianity took the Messiah, and what do they do with the Messiah? They worship him. They don't follow him. The Hebrew Israelites, what do they do with the Messiah? They go to the law and ignore the Messiah. So the Messiah, as was prophesied by the same Peter here, has become a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. Yes? As it said in the book of Isaiah, he has become a gin and a snare to both houses of Yasharal. All right, so let me get to this stone of stumbling. The stone of stumbling, 1 Peter 2, verse 8. Verse 6. Wherefore it is contained in Scripture, behold, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone, elect, precious, And he that believeth on him shall not be confounded. To believe on Mashiach is to walk like Mashiach, walk as he walked, not only to have it in your mind. Unto you, therefore, which believe, who follow him, who walk as he walked, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, those who are like the Pharisees who hold on to the law. Remember, the Pharisees did the same thing. They held on to the law and had nothing to do with Hamashiach. They wanted to kill him. Unto you, therefore, which believe, he is precious. But unto them which be disobedient, the stone which the builders disallowed, the same is made the head of the corner, and a stone of stumbling, and a rock of offense, even to them which stumble at the word, being disobedient, whereunto also they were appointed. People, I'm telling you, this is a Hebrew Israelite error. Leaving out Hamashiach, grabbing on to the law, rejecting a good conscience, faith, and love. Yes, they have turned aside unto vain jangling, striving to be teachers of the law. All right? So our conscience is very important. Let me go to one verse. Romans 9 verse 1. That tells us about this conscience thingy. With your conscience, you have to have a willingness to suffer. Yes? I say the truth in Hamashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in Ruach HaKadosh. So, when you speak the truth, you have to speak the truth in Hamashiach, because he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Yeah? My conscience also bearing me witness. So we have to have a good conscience to bear us witness to Hamashiach and to the truth. So the conscience now has to come through Ruach HaKadosh. It's Ruach HaKadosh that regulates the conscience, and our conscience bears us witness in Ruach HaKadosh to bear witness to the truth and to Hamashiach. So when you go now back to Timothy and you focus on this law, you are in problems. Okay? Let me get back to it. And I thank Hamashiach Yahusha, our master, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me into the ministry. 1 Timothy 1:13, who was before a blasphemer and a persecutor and injurious, but I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. And the favor of our master was exceeding abundant with faith and love which is in Hamashiach Yahusha. This is a faithful saying and worthy of all acceptation, that Hamashiach Yahusha came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am chief. This man was blameless in the law. He said he's the chief sinner. Get that into your head. Yes? Howbeit, for this cause I obtained mercy, that in me first Hamashiach Yahusha might show forth all long suffering, for a pattern to them which should hereafter believe on him to life everlasting. So Shaul should be our example. He should be our example in how he lived and what he preached. What did he preach? He preached something bordering on rejecting the law and accepting the law. Meaning, he preached that the law could not save you. It is faith through Hamashiach, the righteousness that is in Hamashiach, that saved us. Not having our own righteousness, which is of the law, but the righteousness that is through the faith of Hamashiach. And we should finish it with Philippians to show you what we need to be. Yes? So let's go. Go to Philippians so that we can actually see what we need to be. We're going to finish it off here. Verse 6, Philippians 3:6, concerning zeal persecuting the assembly, touching the righteousness which is in the law, blameless. That was Shaul. Before, he got this good conscience through Yahusha. But what things were gained to me, those I counted loss for Hamashiach. So all this blamelessness that was in the law, he was willing to throw it away. Because he realized that when compared to Hamashiach, it was nothing. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahusha my master, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach. So when it comes to Hamashiach, you have to suffer loss. In some way, it could be material things, it could be spiritually, it could be reputation, it could be honor, it could be how people view you as a macho man who was hit down anyone as it come to you, humility, all of those things you have to lose. And be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law. This is what they're doing. They're having their own righteousness, which is of the law. Sometimes I watch some of them, I see sinfulness. You know, many times I have to stop watching their videos because of the sinfulness, and I say, no, I cannot watch this. The boasting and the downright explicit. And be found in him, but they are our brothers. And be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Hamashiach, the righteousness which is of Alua by faith. And this faith is you believe regardless of. You don't fight. You just believe, and you stand up and you suffer loss, but you believe. And be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but that which is through the faith of Hamashiach, the righteousness which is of Alua by faith, that I may know him, and the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his sufferings, being made conformable unto his death, if by any means I might attain unto the resurrection of the dead. Look at this. To know him, the fellowship of his sufferings. That means we have to partake of his sufferings. How many of our brothers are willing to do this? Being made conformable unto his death, like how he died humbly, going forth like a lamb to the slaughter. That is how we should live. How many Hebrew Israelite groups are preaching this? How many of them are preaching passiveness? How many of them are preaching suffering? Eh? Shaul said, I am an example. I was the chief of the persecutors in the Pharisees. Look at me now when it comes to the law. Look at me. It's not about the law, it's about Hamashiach. It's about Hamashiach, and this is the great Hebrew Israelite era of the law. I only hope you understood what was presented here today. I only hope you understood what was presented here today. Our brothers have taken the easy way out, setting up their own righteousness, taking the law and say, okay, I wear my fringes, okay, I do my... The Most High is not interested in that until the heart, the inside is cleansed. Unless the inside is cleansed from the inside out, he is not interested on the outside in. Yes? So your fringes and your beards and your everything and your woman covering her head and sometimes you see the woman covering their head and have on makeup and have on this long hair. People, when you are convicted on the inside, it will show on the inside. The humility that is inside will show outside. Yes? It's all about Hamashiach. It's all about the good conscience, love, and a faith unfeigned, emunah unfeigned. That is what you're missing. Focusing on the law. It's about righteousness. It's about transformation. It's about getting away from the old sinful man. If you are the same sinful man, except that you obey different rules as you are in your religion, it makes no difference to the Most High. You have to be changed from the inside out. You have to be transformed into a being of love. Total love, forgiveness, righteousness, mercy. Mercy comes from within. The conscience has to be good for you to have mercy. The conscience has to be good for you to have compassion. Otherwise, you'll be hard on everyone. So when people come and say bad things or do bad things to you, you're going to be angry towards them and you're going to hate them. You're going to despise them. Yes? When you're in righteousness, you don't despise people who even try to hurt you. Hey, only hope you understood this, people. Only hope you understood this, all right? The Hebrew Israelite error regarding the Torah, regarding the law. This is what they are missing. All right. Thank you all for watching. And until next time, shalom.